Okay, so in the last example we added some rollover effects. Now this has been done in a slightly more complex way than it necessarily needs to be, but that is to ensure that we can use as few as possible symbols. In theory, we could probably have created the symbol itself with code as well, because it's just a basic box with a text field. So moving forwards now, we need to handle when the buttons are clicked on in the menu. We also need to have somewhere for them to go. So now it's time to start naming our scenes and duplicating them. So I'll just duplicate the scene. So I've got a few copies, one for every. So I double click it. So that will be called. Just undo that a second while I remember the names. So we've got organisation. Trends. Contractual. Regulatory. And jobs. So the main reason we've done it in this order is so that we can bring across our menu items to every scene. So it's best to get the interface kind of built before moving on. There are a few other things we could perhaps have included, but we'll address those with copy layers or whatever at a later point. So in every scene they exist. The first thing I need to do is to make sure that in the first scene we stay in the right place. So I'll just put on one of the layers a stop. Don't necessarily need a separate layer just for that, to be honest. And that'll ensure that we stay on the first scene. Everything that runs as expected. And then we need to set up our targets, as it were, or our links, references. So the way I'll do that is by giving each one of them a property. There are other ways you can address this. We could, if we wanted, use the names of the instances, but it's never a good thing to have the same names exactly. So dot, and then I'll call this ref equals, and this is a string of characters, so it goes between speech marks. It needs to be exactly the same as the scene name, otherwise it won't work. Let's copy and paste that to get the bulk of it over. There we go. Okay, so trends. You can always take these out of the scene as well if you're in the right file. That might actually add some time to the process in this case. Okay, so there's the reference, which is just a property which we will use. Now we need to add event listeners and create a function to handle the click. So let's just copy and paste this one first, and I'll separate them out because the clicks there, and we will just call it menu event. So create the new function. That's what split below where we are. Another public function, need it to be accessible throughout the movie. And this is again a mouse event. put the curly brace in for me, and then it's going to be simply a case of go to and stop, and then we tell it which frame, so we're just going to the first frame, and which scene, and that will be e.target.ref. And hopefully, if we click on one of these symbols, it'll have to be a different one to organisation, since I was starting in that scene already, so I'll put it on trends. And then we also need to make it obvious that we've changed scene. So for now, I will just create a blank layer over the top of both scenes that I can draw on and quickly delete in a bright colour. So we're currently organisation, so that can have a curl, and then trends, that can have a slightly different symbol. And just test it. The menu comes in. Click on trends. Just double check that. Menu event. Reference. Okay, let's just trace something out first. E.target. So we need to check to see if the reference value is getting there first and foremost. If the click event's firing at all, so it's saying it's undefined at this point in time. So let's just double check that. Okay, let's try current target instead of just plain old target. Just check that. Okay, so that's going to fix everything when we change this to current target instead. Should in theory allow us to move on. Now we see a slightly different symbol, and we have obviously the issue we had previously before, which was to ensure that we got the function, there we go, set menu, otherwise the menu won't work. So we're now in trends. Hopefully if I set menu, which was a function we created in a previous video, test that, go to trends, hopefully they'll come in. Yeah, there's one problem there, the colour issue. It's not a massive issue, and again obviously we need to set menu. Yes, just recording a video. So we need to ensure that we set menu in the organisation scene as well. So shouldn't make much of a difference if we call it again, although it's not ideal. We're calling the set menu twice, so obviously that will have an implication. There we go, organisation, and then I'll come back in. So there's a little bug there, which is one we can work through to find out why the colour's not getting brought through. That could take some time, so to all intents and purposes we're ready to move forward, and we can fix that at a later point.